What's up, people? So glad you could join me this morning. My name is Max Lippa, and I'm the online youth coordinator here at the Meeting House. Welcome to our first virtual Sunday morning teaching. I hope you're excited to be here. I'm excited to be here with you as well. It is my honor and my pleasure to spend it with you this beautiful Sunday morning. Now, some of you may know me, and that's awesome. I was a junior high midweek leader at our Uptown Toronto parish for a few years. I've also worked at a camp called Muskoka Woods for the past 7 summers. Now at Muskoka Woods, I was a counselor. This past summer, I was a program director. So I got to engage in some really cool opportunities and play some amazing games. So we're going to play one of those games this morning. We're going to play a little icebreaker game so you can get to know me a little bit more. We're going to play 2 truths and a lie. Now, for those who haven't played 2 truths and a lie before, I'm going to be making 3 statements. Of those 3 statements, you need to determine which 2 are truths and which statement is the lie. So statement number 1, I'm a twin. Statement number 2, I'm living in New Brunswick. Now, statement number 3, I was born in Italy. This morning we have a live chat enabled that I'm going to be moderating, so throw your answer in the chat and I'll tell you what the lie is. Now, some fun facts about me. I told you I worked at a camp, but you could probably tell one of my favorite things in the world is soccer. Now, I love soccer jerseys, but I also love to watch soccer. Now, some of you may not agree, but soccer is the best sport in the world and it's the best one to watch. Now, I've been lucky to see soccer matches in Spain. I've been lucky to see soccer matches in Italy. But I'm a huge fan of Toronto FC, so if you love Toronto FC, we're going to get along well. We're going to hop right into the teaching this morning. We have an amazing teaching for you, and we have also a video that's phenomenal that goes along with the teaching this morning. Now, I'm not into video games very much, but I do love myself a good little Mario Brothers game from time to time. If you love Mario just as much as I do, you're going to love this morning's video. Now, these videos are also going to be available throughout the week. So if there's something you want to come back to later in the week, it's going to be available to you. So I urge that you use that to come back to later in the week if you need to. Now, this month, we're going to be diving into the book of Mark. So if you have your Bibles in front of you, whether that's a physical Bible or a virtual Bible app, we're going to be diving into Mark chapter 9, verses 2 to 4. If not, I have it on the screen behind me so you can follow along. So let's get right into it. So the transfiguration, after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him and led them up a high mountain where they were all alone. There he was transfigured before them. His clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could bleach them. And there appeared before them Elijah and Moses, who were talking with Jesus. Now this is an interesting verse in Mark 9. You see, Peter, James, and John had Jesus reveal his true nature to them. But he also had Elijah and Moses there as well. Now you see, Elijah and Moses were revealing God's nature and what he was like to people well before Jesus was even born. But yet Peter, James, and John had Jesus with Elijah and Moses in front of them. So this revealing of Jesus' true nature led Peter, James, and John to spend the rest of their lives introducing people to Jesus' true nature. Now this chain continues even to this day. There are 2 billion people who follow Jesus because somebody revealed Jesus' true nature to them. And we have those people in our lives too. That could be our family members, so our mother, father, brothers, sisters, cousins, whoever that may be in your family. But that could also be our friends, people we have in our church community could be those people as well. And that very much applies to my life as well. Now, some of you know this individual, but one of my closest friends named Ryan, still to this day, helps reveal Jesus' true nature to me, and he challenges me to explore my faith through amazing verses in the Bible like the one we just read. Now, Ryan has one of the biggest hearts that I know. He loves serving youth. He loves creating connections for Jesus to work with him. And he loves to have a lot of fun. And I know some of you have experienced Ryan's fun before. I'm glad. But he is one of those people who helped reveal Jesus' true nature to me. Now, there are other people in my life who do that as well. I don't want to say Ryan's the only person. But we have those people in our lives. And I'd urge you to explore who some of those people are. Now, just a reminder, as we go into the teaching this morning, we have a live chat enabled. I will be moderating the chat. So if you have any questions at all during the teaching this morning, throw it in the chat. I will do my best to answer for you. And if I can't, I'll try to find someone who can.
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Lindsay. And today we're starting a brand new series all about Jesus. What it takes to follow Jesus, what justice looks like the Jesus way, and what tools can help us focus on Jesus.
Yeah, we believe that Jesus is at the center of our lives and that God used the Old Testament to show us this. Did you know that the great people of the Bible all point us towards Jesus?
Now, when you say the great people, do you mean people like Abraham, Moses, those type of people?
Yeah. We're going to take a quick look at a cool story about Moses, Elijah, and Jesus. But before we do that, we're going to check out an awesome new 8-bit Bible series. Let's check it out.
Today, our story is from the book of Mark. It's a story about a mountain, an over-eager disciple, and two very, very old guests.
When Jesus was 30 years old, he left his hometown, and after being baptized by John the Baptist, he began teaching. As he taught, word spread quickly and more people came out to see him. People heard he was performing miracles and healing sick people. He had healed blind people, deaf people, people who couldn't walk. He even raised people from the dead. One time, he fed thousands of people with just a few loaves of bread and a couple fish. Even though people were excited about Jesus' miracles and teaching, most people still didn't understand who he really was. One day, Jesus asked his disciples who people thought he was. Elijah, John the Baptist, a prophet, they answered. Then he asked them who they thought he was. Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." That was the right answer. Jesus was the Messiah, the promised deliverer, the rescuer who would save us all. For once, Peter had said the right thing. And 6 days later, Jesus helped 3 of his disciples see who he truly was. And that leads to today's story from Mark 9, verse 2 to 13.
Why did the scientist take out his doorbell? Because he wanted to win the Nobel Prize. Hi, I'm Mikalya, and I have this friend named Emily, and she's incredibly spontaneous and lives in the moment. She doesn't always think before she acts, but this is really great when she sees somebody in need, because she's the first one to go over there and make sure they're okay. Jesus had a disciple like this, and his name was Peter. Out of Jesus' 12 disciples, he was really close to 3 of them, Peter, James, and John. Peter is this really interesting guy because he shows what it's like to be human who's just trying to follow Jesus the best he can. In this series, we're going to be looking at Peter as he relates to God and how we can learn from him. And as Peter learns from Jesus, he makes these really interesting and important discoveries. And that brings me to today's big idea, which is the great people of the Bible all point to Jesus. Today's God story comes from Mark 9, verse 2 to 10. Let me set the scene. So Jesus has been traveling with his disciples, and so he brings 3 of them, Peter, James, and John, up to a mountain. Now here's the thing. Whenever you see a mountain in the Bible, you know something big and important is about to happen. So here they were on a mountain. Peter, James, John, and Jesus. And let's read what happens. There in front of them, his appearance was changed. His clothes became so white they shone. They were whiter than anyone in the world could bleach them. Elijah and Moses appeared in front of Jesus and his disciples. The 2 of them were talking with Jesus. Okay, so if you don't know who Moses and Elijah are, you might be a bit confused. So here's the scoop. Moses was this amazing Hebrew leader. He was also the guy that God gave the 10 Commandments to. He was born around 1,500 years before Jesus. He would have represented the law, the 10 Commandments, and the Old Covenant that God made with the Israelites. Elijah was also this massive figure. He was a prophet and did amazing things for God. He lived 900 years before Jesus, and he would have represented the prophets and their teachings. Both of these great people that represent the law and the prophets point towards Jesus. Jesus is this point, and all of the great people in the Bible point towards him. Let's see what Peter had to say about this. Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us put up 3 shelters. One will be for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." Peter didn't really know what to say because they were so afraid. Peter was the one who broke the silence. He didn't know what to say. The verse tells us that he and the others, James and John, were afraid. I mean, could you imagine seeing these people reappear? What would you have thought? I know I would have been super nervous. And then something else amazing happened. A big cloud comes over Jesus, Moses, and Elijah, and a voice comes from it, saying, "This is my son. I love him. Listen to him." This is very similar to what happened at Jesus' baptism. God said, "This is my son. I love him." God is pointing to Jesus, saying, "Listen to him." So we get this amazing glimpse of God's awesomeness. Peter, James, and John were probably pretty shocked. And then, when they looked around, Elijah and Moses were gone. So they walked down the mountain. And on the way down, Jesus said to them to not tell anybody what they had seen. He said, "Wait until I have risen from the dead." So they kept it to themselves, but they kept chatting about it. What did Jesus mean by wait until he had risen from the dead? They didn't know God's plan. They must have been pretty confused. You see, this scene shows that Jesus is God. It shows that the law, think Moses, and the prophets, think Elijah, all point towards Jesus. All of these great people point to Jesus. We can read the Old Testament and see Jesus. Our mission is to point others to Jesus. So let's all be challenged by that this week. I'm Mikalya, and I'll see you next time.
Wow, that's awesome. The law and the prophets all point us to Jesus, but we know that it doesn't end there. Matt, do you know anyone who lives their lives in such a way that they clearly point to Jesus?
Yeah, my friend Mark actually just lives his life so lovingly and compassionately that I just always see Jesus in him.
Wow, he sounds like a great guy. And we've asked a few of our friends who in their lives point them to Jesus. Let's watch.
The great people of the Bible all point to Jesus. Who in your life points to Jesus?
My mom and dad usually point me to Jesus because they always help me read the Bible and help me learn more about Jesus.
My mom and my grandma, because they're always like reading the Bible with me and praying with me, and my brother just because he's my brother.
I see Jesus in my daddy because he helps me not do the same bad things again.
I see Jesus in the people in my small group because they're always caring for each other, and like when we're going through tough times, they're always supporting us and praying for us. And I think Jesus would do that too.
My cousin, because she prays a lot.
My friend, because once I fell and then he was nearby and he was like, "Are you okay? Do you need a band-aid from the office?"
What characteristics should someone have to point to Jesus?
Compassion and mercy. They're kind of just happy. They're great and they're loving. Like they don't yell, they're not very picky about things. You say nice things to people. Giving to the homeless and the poor.
If you do something wrong, they still forgive you and love you no matter what you do.
How can you point to Jesus?
I can show Jesus to other people by not yelling, not getting upset at them.
Be nice to people who mean to you.
Spending time with them and getting to know them and then eventually tell them about Jesus. Be very nice to them and help them if they're feeling sad.
Show forgiveness and patience to people.
When my brother's hurt, I run over and help. Be kind to everybody.
I love what I heard about our friends all having moms, dads, or friends in their lives that all point them to Jesus.
Yeah, and it was such an inspiration. And it can be such a great wake-up call to us that just by going through our everyday lives, we can be pointing people to Jesus without even realizing it.
Totally. Let's break into our small groups and talk about this and see how this plays out in our own lives.